Caitlyn's not been hugely picked up in the LPL. It's much lower pick presence than both EU and then also Korea as well. The LCK and the LEC both loving that champion alongside things like the Lwx. Lucian Nami really has been the LPL go-to, though. It really has.
It'll never change.
It's just we just love it here.
It'll never change. We're just always going to be the Lucian Nami region. As we do get that Caitlyn, though, it was banned a lot, I guess, when we were in 13.1. With that flexibility, I guess, the double bot lanes. But I'm very interested now that we're getting, obviously, the Lucian Nami here for FPX, what that duo down there will be. I mean, I expect it to be picked up for JDG in the first phase.
Well, I mean, you can't. Caitlyn Nami's not a great combo, so you can maybe just say, maybe we lock in a jungler here if we want, but instead FPX say, okay, no, we want to hold on to our cards a little longer, lock in the Nami, and let themselves have a bit more information for their third pick. I really like that over there of a couple of the Kanavi specials. He's been known to pick up a number of these kind of more front foot, invade, farm, steal your Raptors kind of champions over the past. Less so this split, I suppose. He's been on Maokai GD, on Sejuani GD a little bit more, but still hovering through a couple of these old faithfuls and
he's really just getting all the miles out of his clicks here. Does lock in the Nidalee. Alrighty then.
So we haven't had a Nidalee out of Kanavi this split. We've had Silas, we've had Elise, we've had a couple of AP junglers, but we haven't had this one yet. I am absolutely loving this. That hover there of the ASOL, just a quick note, not actually enabled for us just yet. Might be in the next couple of weeks, but not for today. We'll update you that on broadcast.
See the smiles from Knight.
See the smiles there. Man, I'm so looking forward to that champion to eventually come through, but it's going to be that Caitlyn Lwx coming through from the bot lane. Alongside early damage, early duelist, and of course, heavy combo reliance of that Nidalee on the other side. Something we've seen an awful lot of over this split is the Sejuani heading into the jungle. Initiation, tank frontliner.
All I'm going to say is Kanavi has almost a 70% win rate on Nidalee in competitive. Pretty good win percentage there. But I do like this answer from FPX, obviously sticking with something that we have seen so often in the LPL, but it definitely is that facilitation to try to find kills. And I think it matches so well with the Lucian Nami.
It does, because what this also means now with the Lucian Nami plus the Sejuani combo is that it's just very reliable. One item spike, fling a Sejuani ultimate someone, blow both your ults from the bot lane as well, and someone dies. Even with the three champions locked in from JDG right now, those are three champions that cannot survive a culling, especially when you have the Imperial Mandate burst on top of that. FPX right now, I think what they're doing with that Jason Tristana ban is saying, okay, we want to make sure that, particularly in mid lane matchups, we can get to a point where if we pick a melee champion, like maybe say something like a Silas or something, we can combo that up with the Sejuani, but also not lose early. What FPX are doing with this combo right now, just with that Lucian Nami and the Sejuani, they're really trying to survive to that first item power spike so they can start breaking open this Caitlyn Lwx, which can be a bit hard to fight before that point in the game.
And I definitely want to check in on that dual aggression bot lane that we're going to be getting in this one. But
well,
we do
asked for
get
it, right? You asked for it.
Yeah,
right
hey, and I'm here for it. I paid the ticket. I got exactly what I asked for. We do get the Akali lock-in for FPX and Care specifically. I think this is a huge step-up moment for him. He has that melee mid laner, obviously, but I think it's the strength of the Akali that I'm looking at for FPX to utilize to kind of have some success in this early part of the game, as the Gnar from JDG is the answer.
Yeah, the Gnar's the answer, but that's not really comboing with your Nidalee. With Mega Gnar, yeah, sure, you can definitely get towards that, but it's not like a Renekton, it's not like other champions which you just kind of point and click very early into the game. Ryze, of course, can, when you have that Rune Prison. Ryze has had a number of nerfs as a champion. We saw him a lot as a first pick on 13.1 from a number of teams. In fact, actually, a number of our teams playing later in the day used to be big proponents of that one. But Ryze nerfed a little bit. We'll chat a bit more of that as we get into the game, though, and see how FPX choose to round out the draft.
Okay.
Fiora has, of course, the riposte. So now I'm looking at what Kanavi can do in this game, and I'm like, it's not that easy to combo up with this Nidalee. You've not given yourself an easy job as the Nidalee to get into lanes and get kills. You can hover around a pressure lane like that Caitlyn Lwx to say, I'm just going to be here and have my level 3 spike, similar in the way that Elise plays, where it's like, I hit level 3, I can burst you out. But it's not the best way to get Nidalee really active and snowballing into the game. FPX, I actually quite like what they put on the table here.
And I think the biggest point is when we came into this, we were saying, you know, JDG, if they get control in lanes, they just utilize that so well. They can just flex their muscles, right? But it feels like you definitely have an all-forward attacking LPL spring split. Can FPX stand toe-to-toe against this would-be Titan as we hit the rift for the first game of the day? It's JDG versus FPX.
Giles come out. Onto the Rift for our first game of
Oh my God, JDG! To get the 10 gold? I don't see it on
like,
the gold. Oh, okay, he got some back.
I
wish that we had the minute numbers in the in the big gold graph. By the way,
I was looking away just to the side because I was looking at some notes and be like, okay, I was just wondering, about X, Y, Z, about changes, and I was like, all I see in the corner of my eye is like 5 JDG members on one part of the Rift. I'm like, okay, is this level 1? Of course it's not. It's just a little bit of vision traded back, and 1 CS over to Kanavi. I'm actually not sure if anyone managed to combo into any of that XP. It matters more to solo lanes than it does to the duo lanes, but it does mean that, of course, you can get to level 2 1 minion earlier if you do soak that XP. But still, level 1 does mean that some vision has been traded. Means that we're going to have some incomplete information on how these junglers are going to be starting the Rift.
I believe that means the 300th game for Kanavi. Just will make sure that that is correct, but nicely done if Kanavi that is true, as we see the bot lane actually working out for obviously the aggressive Caitlyn and the Lux so far. But I do want to check in on those jungle paths. Obviously a little bit of vision game from FPX there, really nicely done, but we do get that opposite side starts.
We do. And 369 had actually won the RNG on where that passive was proc from the Fiora, and then immediately gives it back over to Xiaolaohu anyway. Sometimes you are just kind of playing that 1 in 4 game of saying like, okay, where's this next Vital going to show up? Of course, there's a little bit of extra kind of RNG based on how Fiora is facing you. But going back to those jungle paths, as you did mention, Kanavi just spotted on those Raptors. So Kanavi likely going towards that kind of like full clear towards that top side, making up towards this top lane when you're up towards level 3 in both lanes. But 369 eating so many Vital procs. I don't think you can really play towards that top side as Kanavi. And Kanavi says, all right, I won't then. Immediately goes for the duel instead, looking for
this is what we wanted.
Onto, that jungle invade.
You gotta try to up in that stability that Hacker wanted oh so bad. And I did get confirmation. This is Kanavi's 300th game in the LPL, and he's sticking to exactly what made him so potent here in this league, and these aggressive early paths and just choking out the jungle matchup.
Yeah, because Kanavi has been... Oh, actually, there's a chance for a dive here as well. Knight pushes in, heads towards that bot side, and at least
he's already
jungle.
showing. They know
CC.
they need to get it. That's a cleanse coming out from Lwx already. They're bringing Kanavi as well. This is a 4v3 brewing, but the tower makes it a little bit more even, as they're going to try to cut Hacker off. It's like trying to thin out the young from a herd, but the herd is too strong here, Nymeara, as Kanavi just trying to land a couple more spears on the back end.
Yeah, these bison, whatever animals they are, they can run
the
right
Poros!
from the off, and they can run right from there. But Hacker,
No!
Poros can't
No,
run!
not the
Poros can't run!
They're going down! They're going to eat good tonight, though. Kanavi gets traded back down. It's 1 for 1, but first blood to JDG.
Oh my gosh, it's Hacker can't flash away from the combo, chooses to stand and fight, but you can see that Kanavi trying to really get up in the face of the enemy jungle really early, using the early pushing power of the Ryze, the early pushing power of that Caitlyn Lux. Does buy them some dividends. At least FPX managed to find something in a kind of a return trade. Getting some gold over to that Lucian Nami really, really important. Now with Knight with no mana, can't trade back onto Care as he jumps onto him.
And we're obviously seeing JDG play to kind of their style right now, utilize that strength from the bottom lane. Kanavi is really the only forward foot they have in the early part of the game. They're waiting for Knight to get involved later. 369 obviously won't be involved as he's in the top lane island for a little while. But it's definitely looking to get those active engagements like this for JDG.
Yeah, so this is after the dive, and Hacker says, can I go back into my jungle? Can I go back to my side of the jungle?
The answer
Not as
is
easily.
no.
Answer is no. So Kanavi does actually get his leap cancelled by the Arctic Assault of Sejuani. Manages to cancel at least that bit of damage. Understands the kill combo coming around, and Hacker doesn't use that flash, so still does have that available for a play afterwards, despite going down. And as you can see, Kanavi going straight back into the enemy jungle and doing what Nidalee does best, which is just making a real nuisance of themselves in the early game, because they're so good at just that early burst combo. Very few champions in the game can stand up to her in a 1v1 situation very early. It's more about after that where it kind of becomes a problem. The later into the game you go as a Nidalee without absurd leads, the harder it is to kind of make things work. So Kanavi doing well for now. How much can you realistically do after that?
Oh, the flash comes out. Knight so close to a lethal kill in mid lane.
Oh, trading those flashes back and forth. It's going to be a wave under turret from Knight after this point, but this is kind of continuing in this early game.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
There was
That's
a trap beneath the
tower.
tower. Oh, the bird missing gets the kill, but JDG's bot lane, they're just too dominant.
You have to be this tall mechanically to ride the JDG roller coaster. If you can't stand up in lane, if you can't stand up in the early game, JDG completely wreck you. And once again, JDG coming out of the gates flying when they get themselves early pushing lanes, and Lwx just about got away with that dive earlier, but had to use that cleanse. Had no plans to get rid of that ignite. At least there's a
Here's
cross
the response.
coming. The Mega Gnar's there.
It's almost there, but JDG, he's not going to get it back. 369 goes down. It's a nice little response.
It is. I was wondering if there would be a flash away on the turret, but 369 not able to get right up towards that Mega Gnar. Very close to getting the extra HP, unlocking that ultimate under tower there. Where are we going to go with this replay?
Oh no, we get the angle of it. It's
is,
not fair because you can't see it.
You can't see it. This is the thing. Observers know exactly what they're doing because you can't see that trap when the tower's in front of it. When you're in the in-game kind of spectator, you can't see that from your own player perspective. You do a bit of a switcheroo, do the 180 though on the spectator cam. It's exactly where that trap lies.
The worst part is, like, as soon as you hear that sound go off, you're like, and you're against
like,
the Caitlyn
no.
Lux, you're like, well, I'm going to be CC'd for, like, the next 5 seconds. Good luck with how well you're going to ever respond to anything. And with LWX
how I got at, it's literally just like the, hi, I bet you're wondering how I found myself here. And then it kind of goes to the flashback of, like, the last 2 weeks of the guy's life. And it's like, okay, we'll finally make our way there later into the movie. 369 taking some initiative from... and some inspiration from Kanavi and going into the enemy jungle. Not actually going to take their red buff though, but gets some wards down. And it helps Kanavi understand where Hacker will be on the other side of the jungle. Because as we were saying, Nidalee, one of the strongest things you can do is find the enemy jungler. So getting your lanes to put some deep vision down really does help in regards to that. He stands right now though, looking towards this bot lane. No CC right now.
Spear does not connect, but they still have a lot of the damage down. There will be a flash going out and a heal from FPX bot lane.
Flash and a heal, and FPX, we were worried about this Lucian Nami being a real sticking point in terms of how do you survive past Ruler's Caitlyn through JDG's Caitlyn Lux bot lane. And the answer is right now, coming up a bit blank, because once they hit the one-item spike, sure, you can look for your big combos, but you got to get there first. Knight, Navi, adding extra insult to injury in this bot side.
And I think you see a little bit of the idea from LWX because obviously you're playing in such a different range advantage with the Lucian versus the Caitlyn, so you have to find those very aggressive ins to pop your damage down on the Ruler, and that was attempted, but Kanavi's there in perfect timing, and now JDG have arrested complete control of this bot side of the map. They almost have all 5 turret plates down in bot lane at 8.5 minutes, and while FPX gets a Rift Herald on the other side, it will guarantee them some gold. You need a little bit more here for FPX to continue driving along on this streak.
Yeah, especially as you're kind of getting to this point where Caitlyn Lux can take that bot turret completely, as you're saying, and then start moving to another turret. Then what do you do at that point? Maybe you can look for a strong individual matchup on this top side, but 369 not blowing the flash, just taking a big chunk out of his HP bar and being fine with that after that point. But yeah, once this Caitlyn Lux gets unlocked onto the map, you are in a really difficult spot for FPX because they're just going to keep pushing. They don't have to respect you because they're that far ahead.
Kanavi looking for it. Spear connects. He wants to go in. He did have the flash, but not going to commit after he saw Tio there. I will say he's gotten himself almost a 20 CS lead in the jungle, though. We're looking for FPX to get a response on the other side, though. Having Rift Herald, maybe they get Xiaolaohu some more gold in this side lane. It should be first tower going over to JDG while this play unfolds, and Knight is here to deny it.
Yeah, 369 does get the Mega Gnar this time, has Ryze ulting towards that top side to close that distance. Ends up saving his top laner's life. So, solo lane cooperation.
Oh my god.
Means that JDG don't even lose anything. And the cross map is just so slow from FPX that they are just, again, behind this Caitlyn Lux. The Caitlyn's going to reset. Yes, you are going to get some plates onto Xiaolaohu, but is it enough at this point? I would say not.
I'm just looking at a 40 CS lead in bot lane plus 5 turret plates. Now they're moving top side at 10 minutes with 4 minutes left to take more turret plates. There's going to be a lot of gold in Ruler's pocket. That's the one person I would definitely love to have that gold if I'm a JDG fan here. We'll see if that response, that Divine Sunder pickup from Xiaolaohu is going to be anything to write home about.
Because at least when you're talking about that CS advantage, the plate advantage, there is still a big lead for the Fiora, and Fiora can become a threat later into the game. But you're not done with the whole plates thing yet. You still got 3.5 minutes of the plates being available, and the Caitlyn Lux has been unlocked on the map. They lane swap towards this top side. They're going to get them.
They're going to fall in
into this lane, but this is a lot of members top side.
Tidal wave early. Glacial Prison connects the CC. They get missing, caught out. They can't get Ruler, but they'll take what they can get.
Yeah, that's a big disconnected bomb from JDG. Knight ended up hanging towards the side of the map, which was under threat the last time FPX tried to make a big play. He's not there this time, doesn't have the ult cooldown. Ruler missing, caught out of position, a little uncharacteristically. So FPX, big amount of gold, and this stops the Caitlyn Lux going towards those plates we were worried they were going to get towards that top side.
And I like this answer here. Kerr kind of going to this top side, realizing that he can be a threat against Ruler, that 2-level lead. While Ruler is still scary, as you see it walking away, I think Kerr will be able to kind of sustain this top side a little bit. Now, we are getting JDG's full answer in this top side of the map. They're not just going to leave Ruler up there by his lonesome, and we'll just have to keep checking in on how this response from FPX continues.
Yeah, don't have as many ultimates this time to play with. The FPX still on top side with Force. Knight held in that mid lane, does have to teleport for no ultimate. What this means is that because there's so much top side focus, Xiaolaohu can use the individual matchup towards that bot side. Question is, how much can he actually hit the turret? Because that's where you're actually getting your gold from in this play. So, Lux finally hit that turret, and the CC starts to come out.
One spear. Oh, Final Spark coming out there as well. Just trying to get as many of these plays as possible. That's what they came here for, and they'll find a couple more as Cullen comes out to try to clear out some of that wave. FPX just defending as much as they can.
As much as they can. What are they getting on the other side? Again, Xiaolaohu not actually been able to go towards the actual plates on the bot side just yet.
It's not fun.
It's just not fun because this is just bullet hell. This is complete bullet hell. You're dodging all the skill shots you can, but how much can you realistically do?
Oh, Xiaolaohu. This is a little bit dicey. Xiaolaohu. Ouch.
Couldn't hit the turret.
Couldn't hit the
get
turret.
Those plates, gets killed.
Ooh, nice double
side.
bubble, though. Will stop JDG's aggression.
But it's like, it's a nice double bubble, but that's to stop them dying. That's to stop Knight walking forward and killing someone, because now you have lost on both sides of the map. Your individual matchup on that bot side has fallen apart. Given over that kill. You didn't actually get onto the turret and hit those plays. You can stop the Caitlyn hitting that turret on the top side either. You didn't have another teleport to commit to that play or another big power play to come through.
Yeah. So
now FPX, they've kind of They had a gambit of saying, all right, we'll go 4v4 on that top side, we'll try and stop something happening, and they lose that gambit.
It feels a little bit rough. We're going to watch this one. It definitely, there was an angle here for Xiaolaohu, just not able to execute on it. And then for me, it feels like JDG, you know, the JDG versus FPX matchup, they're walking into a warehouse. JDG is just like a big meat grinder that's standing there in the corner, and FPX have just run themselves into it. There was no need to do it, but we've seen them attempt these kinds of plays, attempt some aggression, and it has backfired.
Yeah, we're just kind of like hearing the wood chipper noises the entire first 14 minutes of this. Like the plates are just kind of getting chucked into this thing and they're getting cracked up. The crockery is very much not fit to be put on the table. Dragon's alive. JDG moved their strong 4-man unit, actually 5-man unit, towards this Dragon now. They've taken everything they want from the side lanes, taken all of those plates. They get to siege the mid lane as well. This Caitlyn hasn't been killed, has a huge amount of gold, and FPX, they have to somehow get this Wrecking Ball out of the equation because they are completely getting blended.
My next question is, how is Ruler walking around with all this gold in his pockets? I would think I would see a little bit of something, but here comes the engage from FPX across the bow. Ruler has already gotten one, and FPX are running away. Look how much damage LWX has just taken. And now CC down as Hacker. They're trying to get a little bit back for LWX, but he's got to dash out as Knight has found purchase on the back line. Won't find Xiao or LWX, but they find two, and that's all that really mattered.
That sounds like the death knell. That just sounds like FPX. They tried one last play, try and catch out JDG as they group up, maybe get on top of that Caitlyn. They can't even stop Ruler, or they can't even win that fight with Ruler auto-attacking the Dragon. Like, Ruler isn't DPSing anyone in that fight, despite all of his huge amount of gold. He's going to go back now after taking 3 turrets, all 3 of the outer turrets, and this fight, this is as good as it gets. This is your last chance to fight in any semblance of being even. You walk straight into that Gnar, your Akali's out of that fight, Ruler basically takes 1 shot and goes, okay, I'll just take 1. Fires 1 shot out of the chamber there, the rest of them go to the Dragon, That's all he needs to do. The rest of the team, JDG, absolutely mince FPX.
That's what's crazy to me. It's not just this extreme lead that Ruler has gotten, but the rest of the team is also like Kanavi had been aggressive, has been stealing Hacker's jungle this entire time right from out under his nose. And it's just been that control we expected from JDG. We said they're the best team at punching down, and boy, are they punching down right now.
Yeah, this is like, you know like the old like Looney Tunes cartoons where you have like the Roadrunner and like Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah.
This is like one of those cartoonish moments where you have just like FPX running into the Dragon Pit and there's just like that 10-ton anvil which just like hangs in midair for a second and like, have like comedic moment of silence and then it crashes and the game falls apart. That's what it feels like in this game so far.
Or the wall that's painted like it's a tunnel or something and you're like, oh yeah, this looks great. Wham!
That's awesome, yeah. Turns out there are in fact 5 JDG members at a Dragon, which is a pretty good way to kind of visualize that wall in this game. Bring it back to some stuff which I did want to talk about because we're talking about the new patch coming in. That means the ADC itemizations have changed as well. So you might have been expecting to see an Infinity Edge second coming out of Caitlyn. I think this is the correct choice to go towards what looks to be the Bloodthirster second on Caitlyn, on Ruler, because Ruler just knows, as long as he stays alive, he has so much more gold than Lwx and the rest of the FPX team. He doesn't really need to double down on efficient damage. As long as he's alive, he's doing enough damage. Bloodthirster, for me, the right call.
And obviously that sustain's going to help just even be more oppressive here. And speaking of oppression, looking at where now Kanavi kind of twiddling his thumbs, where does his Riptail go with all of the outer towers taken down? And Knight has now been trying to respond against Xiaolaohu. Maybe Kanavi getting caught out here a little bit, but doesn't use that blast cone out. And JDG just pressing up as more than ever.
That's the plan because with a team like this, you got to stop the ball rolling early. We're talking about how FPX, they wanted to survive through to their one-item spike. Well, the one-item spike's been reached. Not really sure they've survived through to it though, with this kind of gold advantage kind of being leveled against them. They don't really have the ability to stat check JDG in these fights now. They're really looking for an overstep, seeing if they can force JDG away from their vision, catch out one of these squishier members with a Sejuani ult. But as you can see, JDG grouping up.
One CC lands and they can
so
die. Oh, so close. We do get that cleanse coming out from Lwx. Mid lane though, you see 369 going mega. They're just trying to take down these towers as quickly as possible in these tier 2s. Not able to get that wave in there though.
Not able just yet. Managing to clear that one out. But again, JDG, they just have so much ability to group up at this point. They don't need to be farming all 3 lanes. They're just pushing it in as many little lanes as possible. It's bullet hell, but like, what can FPX do? They don't have any ammunition left.
It's unfair. It's like you have to dodge so many different bullets, and eventually your health just starts going down. And I think that is this statement from JDG showing that difference, right? I mean, we were obviously coming to say there's very different outlooks for both these two teams, and it has just been that systematic destruction that we expected, right? We said if you can't take the lanes into a JDG, you will just lose. They tried. I will give that to FPX. They tried. Their draft was all forward-facing aggression, we had said, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, it's all forward-facing aggression. When you could get to that one point where you can play around your one items, they didn't really get to that point. And
they got it now.
They have it now, and it's still too little too late. So we've had resets coming in from JDG. They have a lot of gold. They can just kind of one-shot you like this, so good luck. Chocho just dies. This is where the game gets actually even more scary than it was before, if that's possible, because in a minute Baron spawns, and if you already couldn't defend your turret, you already couldn't walk into your own side of the jungle, good luck trying to peel JDG off of a Baron. You kind of walk into those Caitlyn traps, walking into this huge amount of range.
Yeah.
Bloodthirster completed for Ruler. You really are just hoping above all hopes that Ruler steps out of position, someone steps out of position, and maybe Care can get on top of them, Hacker can land an ultimate. But with the way JDG have been playing, there is just like no incentive for them to do anything stupid. They're just playing it by the book, just trawling through these towers. It is so easy for them at this point.
Yeah, you're about to get the 10th stack there on Knight's Row as well. We do get FPX's attempt. Top side is 369 getting a little bit low. And Xiaolaohu picks up the kill and a tower with the bounty for FPX. They are losing bot side though.
They are. Cat teleported in topside for that kill and immediately has to recall afterwards because this Lucian Nami, they don't even have their ultimates to clear out the wave. Huge amount of damage coming onto that tower. They have to use the ultimates just to try and keep JDG from hitting their tower.
Could be a little bit of a trade though. At least the tier 2 tower will fall for FPX. Another bounty rings across. as JDG are backing out of this one.
Backing out. Knight has the roll morph if they wanted to do anything creative on the disengage at that point. Hacker flying back in, has flash, has ultimate.
I don't think they care about that outside, really.
Potential?
They're like, take it, we'll take the extra super minion gold. Like,
oh gosh, Dragon is up as well, so JDG using this bot side push to go straight in towards this Dragon, but they're not going to tank this Dragon right now. Realize the Hacker has the ult, has flash. Of course,
there is a TP
has
available.
to teleport too. Exactly. But FPX completely denied access to the river right now.
Oh, going in a little bit over onto Knight. Not able to find the in for FPX, so that'll be soul point for JDG.
Soul point, and it's the Hextech Soul. The reason we've not really been talking about the Soul, by the way, is because we kind of expected the game to be a little bit over before the Soul came into it. Yeah, if it does extend past this point and FPX managed to keep going for these cross maps, maybe that becomes a factor. Wouldn't really want to be diving this Ryze, but you can force him away from the turret, seems like, as both the solo laners yet again from FPX comboing up to one side. That's actually, you know, credit to FPX. Managed to get, 1, 2, 3 towers now, back to back from having the Akali shadow the Fiora, threaten the double all-in at some point to at least draw JDG's attention from elsewhere on the map. That's something.
And that is their win.
6K behind.
Like, at this point, that is their win, right? Like, they will have to win through Xiaolaohu in this side lane and finding a way to deal with the kind of team fight on the other side, or maybe even get Xiaolaohu into a backline somehow. But that is in itself extremely difficult, and especially since you're getting 2 third item completions for a majority of JDG, that bar just keeps on rising.
And it does, and particularly when you've got like Infinity Edge coming from Caitlyn, who's always been such a big item breakpoint for that champion. Very, very difficult. So this is what we were talking about beforehand. Baron has spawned, very dangerous point in the game. FPX can never let this go unattended. You can't go to the side lane and expect JDG to leave this objective alone. And if you give up Baron, that is the game gone. The sieges were bad enough without the minions already just kind of not dying to you. So FPX, they kind of have to always constantly have 3, 4 people towards this top side. Not as easily able to commit towards those solo laners kind of being on that same lane in the map. JDG set up that vision control, wait for them to kind of force FPX's hand around the objective.
About a 6,000 gold lead for JDG here, under 23 minutes in. It should be just over that setup here for FPX to try to get a little bit of their camps, but they have nothing left. It's about vision. They're trying to get scraps here, Nymeara, and at least they get a little bit back.
They are such scraps. There's like,
Master,
can I please, sir, can I have some more? Yeah, and it's just like a little like zombie ward. That's all you're getting. You're not even getting like a pink ward's worth of kills. You're getting like a zombie ward at this point. It's pretty disastrous at this point, because FPX very much playing the unfortunate soul in the Dickens novel, which is this game. 2 minutes until that Dragon Soul comes up. Maybe it will actually become relevant at this point. Because JDG, again, they have complete control of where they want to play the game. They've been forcing FPX into that top side of the map. You could just as easily put their attention towards bot side as well. They've done their resets. Again, just spending a little bit more gold. And yeah, things are just very difficult for FPX. They don't get to control where they are this game on the map.
Had a little bit of an adaptation here from JDG, realizing they want to maybe try to get a little bit more pressure down here on this bottom side of the map before Soul comes out. They will be swapping sides of the map that 369 is pressuring on. Meaning that FPX now actually looking to move through mid lane. They still have this outer tower to take down and a big pressure point for them.
Heading into this mid lane, trying to find something. Navi missing. Just hiding in that side bush. But this is the first time in a while that
God, that was 3 items, by the way.
Care has actually slipped off a vision. Sweeper doesn't spot him. They don't spot him.
For it. Hacker, the preemptive play, and Care finds it. As that's 1 kill over Xiaolaohu, who has TP.
Well, that's jungler
they
down.
Look like they want to go for Baron.
I think they have to. This is their time. We were saying, FPX, you are praying for someone to step out of position. They managed to do that through Care's excellent vision play. But they have to sit in the barrel now, sit in this Baron pit against this range.
It's a bit of a barrel, and I think they realize as they climb themselves out of that one, they will not be fished today. As JDG now trying to just press back up after the attempted, I guess, engage from FPX there, but they do catch out Kanavi, and that's huge. And we said, Nidalee will not have that big brightness in this end game.
Yeah, it's fairly hard to play around Nidalee, but just when you're like level 3, everyone's kind of the same health anyway. You just have more damage. When you get to like level 12 at this point, Sejuani is much harder to kill than a Nidalee, as we can see. Care really does a great job of getting behind enemy vision lines, understanding that no, JDG are on resets. They're not on the same area of the map. They haven't been able to clear out all of the vision here. And JDG, they just kind of slip out a little bit. Picture in picture, we can see there's a catch on the sideline. The Care is once again at the play.
Yeah, just again, really good heads-up play from FPX, and what we need to see them continue to do if they can get those little oversteps from JDG's confidence. But oversteps might not mean much when you're coming to a 5v5 fight here as Dragon is spawning.
Care has flash, has ultimate. I was wondering if he was going to go towards that Knight very, very low. This Dragon would have been a massive pickup for JDG, but FPX, credit to them, stopping JDG from having a complete and utter chokehold. Killed Kanavi earlier means that JDG have lost a little bit of their kind of threat across the map. It's going to be a 5v5 with this Dragon.
Oh, he gets caught by the Glacial Prison. They are on to the flashes here from JDG. Got a little bit of a side lane fight now brewing from Xiaolaohu and Knight. And it's still over the Dragon. About 2,000 health here. Hacker in the pit. Who's going to get it?
Oh, it's a steal!
He denies it! And we'll stop the Dragon stacking from JDG and make it out alive.
Oh, that's a big fumble from JDG. The Dragon resets. It starts regenning HP, which means the Hacker, who doesn't smite first, does land the secure. Dragon goes over to FPX, but can they respond to this Baron? Baron going down would still be disastrous despite the Dragon going their way.
They're burning it so fast. There's no way that FPX can even get in here. Now
Surely
Hacker,
not.
he can't get it. Knight gets the Baron as Hacker goes down to Ruler. I was about to say third item specs for FPX might mean something, but it don't mean much when you got your set sight from Ruler onto your head. As Kanavi will help Knight get yet another kill, and Care, he's on the back, he's on missing, but I don't know if he can get it. He flashes over the wall and gets bursted down as another spear lands from Kanavi.
Ah, some objective play heroics from FPX isn't quite high enough to, not quite enough to see themselves over this benchmark of JDG. They're so ruthless if you're not immaculate in your play. You don't force them into these difficult decisions. FPX, at least they get themselves that Dragon, but Xiaolaohu, what out again. I'm sure he's going to survive this one.
Does so much damage there, but does have a lot of those dashes. Kanavi is coming on a flank here. Realm Warp coming through. He's going to cut him off. The Hacker is here as well. Kanavi needs to get over the wall. Tidal Wave coming out. He gets locked down, bubble out, and Xiaolaohu, who actually gets another kill for himself. He's 4-1 now on the Fiora and has the Hull Breaker.
How the heck did that work? Not gonna lie, JDG, you've really got to start calming down at some point. Your ability to play this game is, and this composition is typically, you push up, you deny FPX options for like even entering their own jungle. Once you start getting crazy, things get a little bit hard to recover. FPX have been given a lot more room to maneuver than potentially they should do. Like, you look at that last play, you kind of forget that it's, you know, almost like a 10,000 gold advantage towards JDG, but FPX, once again, so close to outplaying this. Hacker gets in the pit. You can't actually smite that. That's kind of terrifying. JDG, for a composition which relies on control, on removing options from FPX, give them a lot of room to breathe. Scary moments here, actually.
Yeah, just can't get the timing of that smite off, and the damage just really coming down for JDG. Even Care trying to find a pick off on the side. Not getting hit by the trap, but still getting locked down over the other side of the map. Now JDG with this Baron. We said it's suppressing earlier. Without the Baron buff, well, now we get to see it as the Baron buff has been acquired.
Yeah. Baron still going to be the prize of all of this. They don't have the soul. They haven't necessarily had the cleanest mid to late game in this game, but it has been more than enough. Their early game advantage has tied themselves over to a huge amount of gold to siege in with. FPX, you have to find one last moment of magic to try and break this.
They're going to try to rely on Xiaolaohu at the side. Maybe he can push. It's a little bit of a base race here, maybe, as number 1 does fall. Or number 2, rather. Nice damage on LWX. Wow. They're burning down these inhib towers. As now a TP is actually coming in from Xiaolaohu. The tidal wave comes back across as well. Hacker almost taken down immediately. Xiaolaohu's here, but they don't really have much to say, as health bars do not have much in their tanks here for FPX. It should be the final touches of JDG on this first number 1 game. So Xiaolaohu has found a little bit of backline. He got LWX put down Ruler here, but Ruler is just too damn big. It's Xiaolaohu caught down in the CC chain from hell. It's JDG punching down on FPX in game number 1.
Kanavi gonna find a victory in his 300th game in the LPL. What a history this guy has started to make for himself, continued to make for himself in this region. And that early game was something else from JDG. They had the pushing mid lane, the pushing bot lane, and they utilized it to get Ruler ungodly fed on that Caitlyn. Now, the middle late game, a couple of questions were asked. Managed to kind of slip the net a couple of times, did FPX. They found some ways, particularly with their solo lanes, to get themselves some objective bounties, get themselves into dangerous positions. It wasn't enough, but still enough to ask just a couple of questions of this team of JDG, which, as we've seen, these mistakes against some teams in the league can lose you a game, can lose you a series. It's one of the reasons why JDG aren't actually, undisputed best team in the region right now. There are a couple of rough edges, which you can see even against FPX, which have struggled this year, that need to be polished off.
Indeed, and I think we saw JDG come out swinging. Early ideas were, they get a little bit of that team fight potential from their solo lanes. They have a lot of oppression from their bot lane, have that aggression from Kanavi as well, and they utilized it so well. I think we came into this saying, can Hacker find stability? Well, there's not much stability when Kanavi's coming and knocking on your door every 5 minutes.
Yeah, you kind of understand that with the composition. So going into the second game, I'm going to start asking questions about what can you do, particularly in that mid lane, to give yourself something that can contest push? Because suddenly, if you have mid jungle kind of pushing and just entering your jungle, not too much to play around at that point. I think that was a little bit of an oversight, locking in something like that Akali. You understand at that point, you're already playing against a pushing bot lane. You've kind of bought into a pushing mid lane against you as well. That locks you out of playing a lot of that map. So maybe some things to revise there. I think half of the plan was good, though. Again, to have this one-item spike and then to have these points which they could play around later. They actually got very close to using that to get some big victories. You just got to make sure the ship is stable before that first item spike.
Xiaolaohu was actually kind of popping off in the side lane. I think that's where they put a lot of reliance.
Okay, we'll ignore the tower dive.
Right? Besides the tower down there. And the later part,
getting
all that gold. But honestly, he was the reason why they were able to kind of stay in the game. A lot of the bounty gold and stuff going over from him. So I definitely want to see them kind of continue to opt into that, where we saw, obviously, JDG focus more so away from that side lane. I'm very interested to kind of just opt into that again and find a better way of dealing with it. Maybe a little bit more of something in the later part of the game for LWX and Jojo in the bottom lane.
Potentially so. But JDG, they do walk away with that win. It does feel like, as we're kind of getting to know these teams a little bit better, if you give JDG the ability to get ahead and kind of play these choke-out styles, particularly with how consistent players like Knight and Ruler have been, and Kanavi also when he's playing on the front line as well, these players are just so damn good at playing through laning phase. If you give them good laning phase, which can actually close out a game, this team is one of the best at playing that style, maybe even in the world at this point. So JDG kind of playing towards a kind of a brewing identity in that sense. And if they build on that FPX, you have to remove some of these strong lanes.
And we can see, obviously, the patch is sitting just fine with that as well as we come into this one. But we'll see what happens in game number 2, if FPX can find a bounce back or if they'll take another 2-0 loss here and make it their 5th.